Good morning, South Africa, and welcome to State of the Nation, where we take an honest and unfiltered look at the true state of this country. If you enjoy the conversation, please subscribe and turn on notifications. We want to build a community for all South Africans that transcends race and gender and adds positively to the national dialogue. So, let's get right into today's question. How much load shedding will we be subjected to in 2023? Well, we were only 9 days into the year before we hit stage 6, which does not bode well for the rest of the year. We have listened to empty promises about ending load shedding for over a decade. Yet, the problem is only getting worse. The government's lack of urgency, the refusal to implement obviously necessary reforms, and the sure idiocy of policy decisions around power generation all indicate that we are in deep trouble. So, if you are holding your breath for the president, the new Eskom board, or even the new CEO to fix load shedding, you will suffocate. When it comes to ending load shedding, we must understand that we are past the tipping point. By that, I mean Eskom cannot be fixed. That is a frightening realization, but it is one we must face as a nation. Let's compare Eskom to a car. Imagine you drive your car every day without ever checking the oil. After a few months, the oil light comes on, but you ignore it. Then the engine starts to make noises and smell funny, but still, you ignore it. Your temperature gauge rises into the red every time you drive, but you still do nothing. It is inevitable that, at some point, your engine will seize, and then it is too late. What would have taken 5 minutes and a tin of oil to solve is now an entire engine rebuild. This is where we are with Eskom. The problems have been deliberately ignored for so long that it is too broken to fix. Eskom has been allowed to seize, and now the energy system in South Africa needs to be rebuilt from the ground up. I know that is not what any South African wants to hear. We are all waiting to be told that in 2 weeks or 2 months, or 2 years, load shedding will be a thing of the past, but only a liar will tell you that. As things stand now, Eskom cannot generate enough power to meet demand. Their ability to generate power is rapidly decreasing, not increasing, and it will take years to bring new power generation onto the grid. Even if the political will to end load shedding existed, it is beyond physical possibility to solve the problem in the short term. Load shedding is not going anywhere. If anything, it will worsen. To solve load shedding, we need to understand what causes it. To do that, we must see load shedding not as the cause of our national crisis but as a symptom of a bigger problem. Think about it this way: if you don't put oil in your engine and it seizes, the fault does not lie with the engine but with the driver who ignores all the warnings. Likewise, those driving this country have brought us to this point. We have a leadership crisis in South Africa, not an electricity crisis. The country is not dying because of load shedding. Instead, that is just one of the symptoms that shows us just how sick this country is. As long as we continue to treat the symptoms and not the disease, we will never make any headway. Load shedding is a symptom of a disease that has infected every aspect of this nation. That disease is ideological, and it's spread by the ANC. The ANC has infected South Africa like a virus, and there is no point trying to put a plaster on every boil and blister that it causes until we have treated the virus itself. The ANC virus is displaying symptoms in every aspect of our nation, from the collapse of the power grid to the looming failure of water supply and sanitation, the rail network, municipal service delivery, crime, unemployment, education, and healthcare. This virus destroys everything it comes into contact with, which is painfully evident to anyone willing to be objective. However, for the past 28 years, the ANC has diverted all criticism by playing the only card they have, the race card. Anyone who points out the problems the ANC is causing is labeled a racist who wants to bring back apartheid. This is a blatant strawman argument and a very effective one because fear is the most powerful tool for forcing compliance in politics. The ANC is not interested in unifying South Africa because that would not be in their best interest. If the threat of racism and the boogeyman of evil white men stopped being a motivating factor in how people vote, the ANC would become politically irrelevant. If South Africans voted on merit and not racial identity, then the ANC would get no votes because they have no governance merit. But for this to happen, South Africans must divorce themselves from the historical loyalty they feel they owe the ANC and judge them objectively. Now I must stress that the ANC's inability to govern has nothing to do with the color of their leaders' skin and everything to do with their ideological beliefs. There appear to be two kinds of people in the ANC leadership, those who are ideological socialists and those who are purely narcissists. The first group, the socialists, believes in centralized power. They think the state, and by extension, the ANC must control and administer everything, including Eskom. This has been disastrous for our country and, historically, for every other nation that went down this path. The second group is narcissists, who are only interested in what their role in the ANC can get them. Their only concern is how much money they can siphon from the state through their political affiliation. Despite the rhetoric, they do not care about black empowerment or South Africa's future. They only care about self-enrichment. These two groups have created this terrible virus in which the ANC controls everything and then offers it up on a platter for its members to steal. We need to deal with the virus before there is a lasting way to treat the symptoms. So, how long will load shedding continue? The answer is until we vaccinate ourselves against it and vote the ANC, and anyone like them, out of power. That might not be the answer you were hoping for, but unfortunately, it's the truth. Until the political will to end load shedding is there, it will not end. The ANC uses Eskom like a personal piggy bank, and as long as they are in power, they will not stop. So, it's not the president, the Eskom board, or the CEO who will end load shedding, it's you and me. On that note, please support this channel by liking, subscribing, and joining in the conversation by leaving a comment. If you want to know more about what is happening in the world, check out our sponsor's book, The Ministry of Truth, by Ethan Quinn. This book explains how identity politics is used to manipulate society.
Despite the propaganda, this is not a struggle between people of diverse cultures, races, or genders. In reality, the culture war is taking place to decide the fundamental question of our time: what sort of society do we want?